Sinaganta Youth Movement creates safe forums that educate the next generation to detoxify their environments by discovering their identities as conscious artists, peaceful activists, and motivating public speakers. Executive Director John Meta Sarmiento.
Sinaganta Youth Movement is Guam's official poetry slam organization. We operate as a nonprofit group, and we host the poetry slams for teenagers on Guam, and we also do after-school writing workshops for all 5 public high schools on Guam. It started off around maybe 2005. It was founded by Melvin Wampat Borja, Kisa Suico, Fanai Castro, and Javon Tamayo also contributed a lot to Sinaganta's early days. So before we were Sinaganta Youth Movement, it was just Sinaganta Poetry Slam, and all they were doing was just hosting poetry slam competitions for basically the entire community. There was no age brackets or anything like that. It's just a free-for-all for most adults. And then around 2008, it became Sinaganta Outreach to sort of solidify their position as a movement for the youth. And in 2010, we changed the name to Sinaganta Youth Movement to sort of really solidify our position in the community.
Sarmiento says he got involved back in 2008 as a youth poet competing, and he graduated through the programming.
I took the workshops that they were offering and eventually came back to teach workshops. So at the age of 19, I was already teaching workshops and mentoring youth poets, and now I'm the executive director.
He adds that he decided to join his first poetry slam after being inspired by one of the outreaches.
I had never seen this type of poetry before because you're so used to traditional poetry in classes, Edgar Allan Poe, Shakespeare, those kind of poets. And then you meet these poets who are just so different. You can't help but be inspired. So I checked out their events and I decided, hey, let's give it a shot. And so I competed. I did really well against adult poets, and that was sort of the signal for me to keep going.
Sarmiento admits that when he first started out, it was all about the competition and recognition.
I just wanted to win poetry slams, and I wanted to get recognized as a dope artist or something like that. But then I realized that, you know, the work we do can be extremely positive for young people because they're so censored in their daily lives in school and at home that when they come into our environment, it's so free for them. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna use my work to give back to my community and help give spaces to the youth where they can express themselves freely.
And what makes poetry slams so successful is that all censorship rules are lifted. That allows all competitors to speak freely about an array of topics and issues.
Oftentimes, they talk about stuff that is very controversial, that isn't allowed in the classroom, that isn't allowed at home, and so they sort of feel this freedom, I guess. They take freedom of speech to a whole new different level because they just go all out. There is really no topic that is taboo to these kids. There have been topics about love and teenage angst and education, and even topics about politics and militarization and colonization. And it's so interesting because a lot of the times you think these kids are sort of ignorant and they don't know what's going on around them, and then they come into the slams and they illustrate for you that they're so socially aware.
The 4th annual Chosen Ones Island Grand Slam Finals is a culmination of an entire slam season.
Our season consists of 4 qualifying poetry slams. So poets come and compete at these 4 slams. They happen every month, starting in September. And the top poets of each slam advance to the final show, the top 3 poets. So our final show is going to consist of the top 12 youth poets of the season. So they're basically the cream of the crop for this season. They're the best of the best, and they're competing to earn a spot on Guam's national team.
The team will represent the island at the 2013 Brave New Voices, which is one of the world's largest youth poetry slam events.
And this year it's going to be in Chicago. It's going to be happening in August. So we're hoping to take the top 6 poets from our final show and represent Guam at Brave New Voices.
The event, which is presented by Sinaganta Youth Movement, is sponsored by the UOG Division of English and Applied Linguistics. The 4th annual Chosen Ones Grand Slam Finals will take place on Saturday, April 13th at the UOG Fine Arts Theater. Doors open at 6 p.m. and begins at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are $5 for youth and $8 for adults.
All our lives, we've heard people tell us that the youth are the future of our generation and that they hold the keys to tomorrow. This event is going to showcase leaders in the making. And if you want to see our future today, you should come on down and check them out.